Hey everyone! Today we're going to be dissecting the 2023 AP English Language and Composition FRQ, going over some possible answers before finally doing some score predictions for the test. If you want to access these prompts, the AP College Board did release them on their website. You can type the link shown in the video or access the link in the description box down below to follow along. And just a quick reminder that this is not affiliated with the AP College Board in any way, shape, or form. Also, just a reminder that you do not have to have these exact answers to get a 5. This video is just going over what the College Board wants to hear and understanding how they're going to grade your essays. Alright, and let's begin with this year's synthesis, which was on urban rewilding. So, going over the AP Language rubric, the first point they reward is for a thesis. This is the easiest point to get, but oftentimes gets missed. A good thesis will have a defensible position that is concise and straight to the point. One that would not earn the point is a thesis statement that is vague and not really answering the prompt. You really want to be direct and straight to the point on explaining why or why not the audience should be in support for a certain cause. I think the first step in developing a really good thesis is going over what side you are for. A lot of people choose a side that they can easily defend or a side that offers the most information. I think either way works as long as you have a clear path on how you're going to tackle the prompt. One way to create a good thesis is to look at the resources. For example, this is source A, and one thing that helps is classifying each source as a positive, which means that the source supports the cause, or you can put a negative, which means that it is not in favor of the cause, and some articles will kind of defend both positions, so you can place a positive and a negative on there. This is so that when you're flipping back through the sources, you know exactly which ones you are going to use and which ones are in support or not in support of the cause. So, for example, let's say for part A, it was a positive source. I would just go ahead and place a positive next to the source name, which will help immensely, especially so that way you don't have to keep rereading the evidence. The next tip I have for you is to help you find supporting ideas. And for this one, you just go ahead and look at all of the articles. Some articles, such as Source B this year, has specific reasons already laid out onto why urban rewilding is beneficial. And again, because it is supporting urban rewilding, you can place a positive in the corner or somewhere on the page to look back at later. Remember to go through all the articles before you start your thesis and essay. So, after going through all the information, a good thesis would be: urban rewilding initiatives are worthwhile for urban communities to pursue because it will benefit nature based tourism and create a resilient ecosystem in response to climate change. This would get the thesis point because it is direct, straight to the point, and provides a defensible position. Next is commentary, and to get that 4 out of 4, it needs to be good evidence and have a relevant analysis of it. This means you want to find supporting pieces of evidence that would enhance your position. A student wouldn't get the full points if they were just simply restating the evidence and didn't really elaborate on why that quote they used was helpful in their essay. For example, if we go back to our thesis and our first point of why urban rewilding is important, which is that it benefits nature based tourism, we can find that source B actually has some information and evidence that we can utilize. We can use this evidence here, which talks about urban rewilding and how it helps society and economy for innovation. Source C also has some useful information on this line right here that says that nature based tourism is especially important for children. So once you have these two quotes, you can actually integrate it into your second paragraph and explain what that quote means and why that matters in the long run. And the last point is the style point. This is extremely arbitrary and it's based on a really deep understanding of the prompt and its argument. What I would recommend is for you to have a passion and almost a meaningful connection when you're writing the essay. And no sophistication just means that you had a good argument, but it was sort of generalized and didn't really look at different perspectives or solutions that arise from the problem. So, in other words, getting that sophistication point means that you are looking at it in a three-dimensional view, whereas no sophistication point means that you were sort of looking at it in a two-dimensional view. Next is the rhetorical analysis, and this one actually used Michelle Obama's speech about her hopes for young people in the United States. I absolutely loved reading the speech, and I found a lot of really good repetition, especially in the last few paragraphs when she was talking about hope and its role in making a better America. There's also some pathos to reference in this paragraph here when she used the emotional appeal about starting from scratch in America. With these rhetorical devices in mind, you can craft a good thesis that is again defensible and answers the prompt effectively. A good thesis would be: First Lady Michelle Obama employs the rhetorical devices of repetition and pathos to convey to her audience about the values and meaningful expectations required for young citizens of the United States. And then you would, of course, need to elaborate on why she chose that rhetorical device. For example, you could say that she used the repetition of hope because, like a lot of things in life, there's always, going to be ambiguity and uncertainty when taking on challenges, that there's not an absolute or discrete answer. But knowing that there is hope, that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel, is so important in taking on obstacles in a newer America. So, again, really provide that commentary and explain to them what it means to Obama and what it means to her audience as well. And again, a bad thesis would not be defensible and offer little to no elaboration, while a good thesis will be defensible and will answer the prompt effectively. Now, for the commentary, you would just need to be relevant into what you're arguing about and make sure that it aligns with your thesis. One that would not get the point is if it is unrelated or doesn't really offer any explanation at all. And for that style point, once again, it's pretty much the same in that it needs to be analyzed really well and have that depth and passion to it. And the very last FRQ, FRQ number 3, this is argumentative. And like the last two, this was another really good prompt. This was basically asking if a community of voices creates more impact on the world or if an individual voice is better. The thesis point would be earned if it answers the prompt well, and no points would be earned if it doesn't support any cause. And I'm not going to go too much into detail with this one just because, especially with the argumentative, it is so subjective into what the answers could be. I had people talking about certain wars in history, like World War II, and how it could be a group effort for them to overcome it. And I mean, it can be really about whatever. And I think what really matters is being able to come up with something interesting or some kind of relevant example on how that would support your thesis. And again, style points are the same in that there is some sort of depth in understanding the prompt and if you connected with it well enough. And then now for my score predictions. These are, of course, not official at all, but this is kind of my guess into sort of how the grading will go. So I think that in order to pass, or at least to get a 3, you will need about half correct on the multiple choice and a 4 out of 6 on each of the essays. And to get a little bit higher, like a 4 or a 5, you would need about 3/4 of the multiple choice correction questions correct, and you can get 2 4s and a 5 on the essays. I think, of course, there are a lot of different combinations in getting a 5, but this is sort of what I think the scoring guidelines will go. Anyway, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up if this helped at all. Be sure to share it with any friends who also took AP Lang this year. And as always, subscribe if you learned something new. And I wish you guys the best of luck, especially in July when scores come out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!